Hi, this is Joe again with another review. And for the sake of this video, I know I haven't done a video review for a while. Took a little bit of a break. And some time ago, I did a review of some of the other Star Trek spin-off shows. And I didn't do the other two yet. So I'm going to do one of them for you now, which is the 1990s, early 2000s spin-off, which was Star Trek Voyager, which aired from 1995 to 2002 on what was then the UPN network. And of course, I have a couple of interesting little facts. Star Trek Voyager was the first show that kick-started the UPN network, because it debuted, I think it was like February 5th, actually on my parents' anniversary in 1995, and they aired for, like I said, for 7 seasons. And of course, this is, brought back some of the mystique and some of the adventures of Star Trek, which was kind of missing a little bit in the previous show, which was Deep Space Nine. And this show actually kicked off on Deep Space Nine, because it was one of the characters, Henry Kim, played by Gary Rank, was on Deep Space Nine, and he connected with, or went on to Voyager from Deep Space Nine, because that's when they started the journey from. But actually, it started off as a 2-hour show. And so was, of course, the final episode, I think, was also a 2-hour show. But I remember it was like 2-parter, more than a straight 2-hour episode, like some of the other Star Trek series that ended with a 2-hour show. This case, and also a little bit controversial at the start, because originally the very first actress who actually, I should rephrase it, Star Trek Voyager was also the very first Star Trek series that has a woman for a captain, which of course bucked the trend a little bit, because all the other captains were men. And of course, in Deep Space Nine, when that show started, if you saw my review on that, Benjamin Sisko was a commander, not a captain yet. It was only until about maybe 2 or 3 seasons into the show when he was finally promoted to captain. And he was a black captain. Start with, I guess, because people got tired of saying white people as captains. So let's put a black actor in there. But for Voyager, they said, let's have a woman captain. Because only one other time in the history of Star Trek, or actually twice actually, where you had a woman captain. The very first time you had was at the beginning, was a part of Star Trek 4, the ship the Saratoga, who had the initial confrontation with the alien probe in Star Trek 4. You had a woman captain in that, but a lot of people kind of forget that character. The only other time we had a woman captain on the history of Star Trek and the Star Trek universe was in the episode for the Next Generation called Yesterday's Enterprise. So you never really had a show with a woman captain before to Star Trek Voyager. And the captain was Captain Catherine Janeway, and the character was actually played by another actress originally. I forgot the name of the original actress, but she thought the show was kind of dumb, kind of hokey, and said that the show was kind of like beneath her. So when they were filming the 2-hour pilot, she ended up quitting. And so the studio heads apparently said, "Oh crap, what are we going to do now?" And they had them getting a former soap opera actress named Kate Mulgrew. She was stepped in, and she was great in the part, and of course stayed in to the very end. Of course, when the show started, of course you had, and the premise of the show was that this Voyager was looking for the Maquis, which was a band of rebels who was fighting both the Federation and the Cardassians. And the Voyager was assigned to look for him. Look for the Maquis leader was having to be Chakotay, played by Robert Beltran. And they they're looking for their hideout in a section of space called the Badlands, which was near where Deep Space Nine was. So that's why it kicked off from there. or their journey was kicked off from there, and they had got zapped by this ray about 75 million light years from Earth, and it would take like 75 years at top speed at warp 10 to make it home. And so, of course, they were in a section of space was never explored before in the Delta Quadrant, and they were going through all kinds of creatures and different alien species. It was never introduced before, except, of course, for which going into the Borg. And of course, after 3 years, they eventually met up with the Borg. When the original villains were called the Kazon, and they were the first villains for first year and a half or 2 years of the show, and then eventually they got, I don't want to say passed over, but eventually that storyline pretty much ended, and the writers, I guess, didn't know what else to do with them, so they decided to get rid of the Kazon altogether. And then, of course, they eventually got to the Borg, which is the section of space where the Borg was found from the Next Generation series. So, of course, they knew they were going to confront them, in hindsight. So, they made a deal with the Borg to agree to go through their space because they wanted to get home, and they told them everything, what's going on with them. And they had, in particular, Borg called 709, played by the drop-dead gorgeous Jerry Ryan, and who brought some sex appeal, which was sorely lacking on this show. And eventually one of the original characters, Kiss, played by Jennifer Lewis, who was like one of the most boring actresses ever. And she wasn't bad to look at by the time her character ended on the show. And eventually she was written out, and she left the ship, never to be heard again, except for one other episode towards the end of the series, where she was brought back 2 years later or something. So Jennifer Lewis was replaced by Jerry Ryan, who, like I said, brought some sex appeal to Star Trek Voyager. Even though you had two other women who weren't that bad looking on the show, Kate Mulgrew was not bad looking, and neither was Roxanne Dawson, who played the half human, half Klingon Banana Taurus. But Jerry Ryan was the one that everybody, of course, talked about on the show. Because she wore a skin-tight outfit, and everybody went gaga over her. Of course, you did have some characters from... in the very first episode, you had Quark from Deep Space Nine on one scene in the pilot episode. But then, for a couple of times throughout the series, you had characters from Star Trek: The Next Generation, because pretty much in the same time frame as Next Generation, even though that series had already ended by the time that Voyager started, and you had Deep Space Nine, which of course was still going on for another 4 years later. That series had ended, but you had some characters from from Star Trek: The Next Generation on the show. You had Lieutenant Barclay, played by Dwight Schultz, of course, most famously from the A-Team. You also had Deanna Troi, Marina Sirtis on the show, and then you had one appearance of Jonathan Frakes, Commander Riker. Of course, I think by the time that Star Trek, he wasn't promoted to captain yet. Not until, of course, the end of at the end of Star Trek Nemesis movie. And of course, what they did was trying to help Voyager get home, and that's what they eventually did, along with, of course, stopping the Borg Queen, which was, of course, the final episode of the series. They did finally get home to Earth at the end of the series, of the 7-year series, which was, they're eventually going to get home, but the series is not going to last 75 years. I mean, it's silly. Television has not been around for 75 years, so it's they're eventually going to get home. But the question is, how are they going to do it? And they eventually did do that in the final episode, where they had the final confrontation with the Borg, as the Borg Queen, once again played Alice Krige, who played the same part in Star Trek First Contact, from the second film with the Next Generation crew. And of course, he had the whole thing when they brought him back to life. And of course, there was I should mention, there was one other character from the Next Generation that was born onto Star Trek Voyager, and that was Q, played by John DeLance. And he came on the show 2 or 3 times, and he was a personal friend of Kate Mulgrew. So that's why he was born in a couple of times. And his first appearance on the show, Captain Jamie asked him, "Hey, Q, why don't you help us get back home? She even actually brought that up. And he says, no, sorry, I'm not going to help you. Why not? I mean, you could step up a finger and you could transport us back to where we're supposed to be. And he says, no, I'm not going to do that. It would change history and stuff like that. So he decided not, Q decided not to do it. Which was, of course, to, tweak the nose of Star Trek fans. Because if they did that, the series would end, right then and there. But they wanted to stretch out the series for 7 years, which they did. And that's why he never did it. And Q came back, I think, a couple of times after that. When Q had a son, and he snapped his fingers, and you see 7 and 9 naked, which was a good thing. But she was filmed from the back, so you really didn't really see anything, unfortunately. And of course, this was on regular television. It was on cable, like an HBO show or Showtime or something. You probably would have seen it completely naked, but see her boobs and everything, and her nether regions. But since it was on regular television, you're not going to see very much of her in her back. See her naked from the back or something. Be implied that she's totally naked, and conveniently her body parts you can't show on regular television will be all covered up or blocked by something. So Q's son did that, and there was another episode where another Q wanted to commit suicide, and they did that. That was also a very good episode. Of course, also I had a new species called 8471, I believe it was, or 8741, and it was never really identified by the Borg what the species was, just given a number. And they had a couple of good episodes, good cliffhanger with them. And another episode which used the ship's technology for holographic technology for World War II with the Nazis. That was also pretty good and interesting bit, which is a bit they used in the original Star Trek series with the Nazis. Of course, there was one other episode where Ray Walston played a leader of that species, 8471 species. And he did it pretty, I think it was one of the last roles Ray Walston had. Of course, the most famous role being My Favorite Martian back in the 60s. But, as Star Trek Voyager is definitely one of the series that's pretty popular with Star Trek fans. And like I said, everybody, Deep Space Nine was the forgotten stepchild, and this one was maybe slightly above Deep Space Nine and below Next Generation in terms of the spin-offs. But I mean, I do like Star Trek Voyager, even to this day I still like it because it was good, it was well written, it was good pacing, has a good drama in it. The most disappointing things was that the Neelix character left by 2 episodes before the final. Because he rejoined his race at the end. It was kind of disappointing because I'd like to see him on Earth, back on Earth when the series ended. But unfortunately, it didn't happen. They rolled him out. He left the show, but he left some communication. He communicated with the ship so you could see his face on the show for the last couple of episodes. But I think that Star Trek Voyager is definitely one of the better Star Trek series. Now the next one, however, is going to be a little bit disappointing, and that's going to save that for another video for another day. So let me review of Star Trek Voyager. Please click on the video, please rate it, feel free to comment on it. Please subscribe to my channel, please follow my video on your Facebook pages. You can check out all my videos on my YouTube channel at rallyc.com. That's all WDY.com. The homepage of Rally Reviewer, Chris Lee Moore, and please check out all of his videos on his website as well. Thanks for watching, and catch you next time.